Hi. So, our bad deeds, they only affect us. And I'm trying to use inclusive language here, so I'm going to alternate between bad karma and then, sin. Because I know not everyone believes in God, so we're going to be using those interchangeably. So, I guess the spiritual aspect would be as simple as cause and effect. The energy that you put out gets returned back to you. So if you feel like you've been getting a negative energy sent your way or sent back to you, let me encourage you to at least try to have some type of optimistic perspective on it. And you do that by praising God, praising the universe, your spirit team. Because the devil, he uses the things that he knows are your weakness against you. You know, God will never give you anything you can't handle. Karma will always be just discipline. Karma will never be something that we know we can't handle. So anything that is, beyond just what you can handle, that's not of God. That's not of the universe, divine creator. That's not of the divine creator, because the divine creator only just wants the best for us and gives us the free will to live life the way that we want, but also in the way that he wants. If you're a chosen one light worker, he does have a say in the people that we let around us and in our company, but we have the free will to allow anyone in our life. Yeah, our sins or bad deeds, anything that would attract bad karma in our life that we know that we do, they only affect ourselves. Hopefully they're not affecting other people, but they really affect ourselves. And the only thing that we can do is, because we don't have control over whether or not bad karma comes or what type of karma comes, but all we can do is take accountability and acknowledge it. I think the universe or God appreciates that a lot more than us just pointing the finger immediately and saying, oh, I'm being punished by the universe. But you're not being punished, you're being disciplined, one. But also, take some accountability for yourself and your actions, because you're affecting yourself. We shouldn't fall into this victim of circumstance mentality because certain things are out of our control. I think we should acknowledge, what action did I take that led to this consequence? And I think I've been very more focused on my actions and the consequences of my actions before I take them. I'm not great at doing that because I'm a very impulsive person who acts on emotion. But I think it's good that we make the effort to at least try to see where our decisions will lead. But yeah, when we're going through these things, it's really meant for us to seek out God or seek out the universe and ask for help and support, because that help and support and that love is there. I struggle with immense guilt. That's a symptom of my CPTSD. I have chronic guilt in a way, and shame. So when certain things are happening and I'm making mistakes, like I forget that God loves me unconditionally and I should love myself unconditionally as well and not harbor so much shame and guilt towards myself. Um, because I'm human and I'm gonna make mistakes and I'm imperfect and I'm not meant to be this perfect fucking person all the time. The only being that can strive for perfection is God. And it's kind of like what I said in one video. You know, we can play God however many times we want, but our own humanity will slap us in the face before God even gets the chance to, every time. Whatever it is that we struggle with, that the devil really puts in front of us, because like I said, God's not going to give us, the universe source is not going to give us something that we can't handle. Like, that's not of God, that's not of the light, essentially. So whatever it is that we struggle with, we can ask God, we can ask whoever our higher power is to help us with that, help us, you know, continue to have discipline with whatever tests the enemy keeps showing you. And because I know, especially when we feel like we're going through like karma or like, you know what I mean, that type of thing, it can be hard to stay on track and stay in alignment to who you are and who you're growing into being, and really your purpose as well. The way you kind of counteract whatever the enemy throws your way is by having grace, having gratitude, and praising God, praising the universe, your spirit team. And trying to have an optimistic perspective, because that's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to feel like a victim of circumstance. You know, he wants you to fall back in the old ways and fall out of alignment because, you know, you're enduring negative circumstances in your life. So, for example, the abuse and the mistreatment in my life, that is something the devil constantly dangles in front of my face, like my rage. I have a lot of deep anger and rage towards many people. And while I guess my higher self would be more leaning towards the way of like, I forgive you and I have compassion and I have love for you, while this other side of me harbors so much rage and resentment and like it's deep. It runs deep. And I think that none of us should be afraid of acknowledging our rage. Our emotions are beautiful, darker, or, you know, more positive emotions in nature. No matter what, they're beautiful. And I still have problems with expressing my rage because I don't always view my rage as beautiful. And I think that's why the enemy tends to dangle that in front of me at times. But also, sitting in rage, it's not productive. It doesn't help you, and it's only ailing yourself. Like, this anger that I've had for people is only ailing myself. It's only affecting my decision making in the present, because this anger, this shame, this guilt keeps me stuck in the past in a way. And that's where mental disorders come in as well, and we don't really talk about it, we don't acknowledge it as much. Like, CPTSD is a very serious disorder to have, and, you know, that's when mine comes in and it kind of clashes with my intuition and my spirituality that lets me know that I can let go of things and not live in the present, but my own disorder kind of keeps me stuck in the past, literally. To where, I can work on the healing myself, but I'm still attracting not great circumstances in my reality because of my illness. I know the way that I can counteract this is with gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for the discipline that sexual discipline that I've really uh, have found within myself due to these lessons that God has taught us. Because, like I said, I think we forget that, yeah, our soul signs up for certain karmic lessons that we're supposed to learn in our lifetime, but also, like, God, the universe is teaching us these lessons. This is their way of teaching us, speaking to us, having some type of connection to us is through the lessons that we're meant to learn. And I tend to forget that. Like, personally, I should be thanking God. Like, thank you for this discipline that you've given me. Thank you for making me realize I only have myself in this world and I only can rely on myself and rely on you. Because you're the only constant. He's the only constant being in my life. I have so many people that come in my life and leave, and it just piles on to the wounds that I already have, abandonment wound that I already have, and it just reopens it and reopens it and reopens it, and it makes me reluctant to build connections with people. That's why I say my CPTSD kind of affects my decision making in the present, because I'll push people away before they get too close to me, and I never know who's in my life for the right reasons and for the wrong reasons, so then I just end up pushing everyone away, really, because it's more projections of my past experiences onto the present, and that's a very miserable way to live, constantly ruminating. So, I'm in the process of just releasing a lot of emotions, a lot of trapped emotions stuck into my body, and having gratitude that, I learned these lessons, and, really learn from the wounds that you've acquired. And that's hard to do. Like, truly do that. I understand why so many people live in a victim mentality. Because some part of me did for a while too. For a long time. But it can be hard to look at your wounds and find something positive about them. Because a lot of the neglect, the abuse, the mistreatment that I've endured in my life, it taught me how to set boundaries and guard my heart. But my only thing is I guard my heart too much. Especially from people that are just seeking to give love to me. But going back to my other video where I said, misery does love company if it causes World War III, I'm so desensitized to toxicity in a way that when good things come in my life, good people come in my life, it's hard for me to identify that and trust it. And I think, truly looking at the things that I've learned when it comes to things that have hurt me, or you know what I mean, those trials and tribulations in my own life. I think a part of that, there would be more ease in the present moment when it comes to the people I allow in my company who are only seeking to love me. Because I constantly have this fallacy in my head that no one loves me. And I think the enemy plays on that a lot as well. Like, I was literally right next to someone the other day, and I'm like, no one loves me, no one cares about me. Like, I'm just telling myself these things in my head. And I don't spend every waking hour of the day telling myself those things consciously, but they still exist within me subconsciously somewhere, clearly. Um, that I'm unloved by many people. And I'll just have these phases where I feel like everyone hates me and I isolate myself from everyone. And then I come out of it and I'm like, whoa, I just thought my friends hated me for 3 weeks, so I distance myself. And it can be hard to live like that. It really can be. Just never feeling loved and feeling supported by people. Because I'm a very sensitive person and I don't think people understand how sensitive I really am. Because something so small to the average person who does not have BPD, that thing that is so small, like, it's dramatic for me. It's a lot for me. It's you know what I mean? I handle and process emotions differently from many people. You know, a lot of people don't think the way I do. A lot of people don't have the heart that I have. They don't feel the way I feel. And you know what I mean? I hate to say it, but when you learn that, you tend to stay away from people who lack sensitivity, who lack diplomacy, who lack empathy. Like, I want to be around people who are empathetic, who are sensitive and caring and loving. I don't want to be around people who act unemotional and detached and treat everyone around them like shit. Like, and I don't want to be a person that's living like that myself. When it comes to lovers and friends that, you know, have caused some emotional distress in my life, or either I left their life or they left my life, I can find some way to be grateful for that. Because rejection will always be God's protection. Like, especially when it's come to people who have left my life. Like, yeah, that hurt and that did cause a lot of emotional distress for me. But, I mean, if it wasn't supposed to happen, it wouldn't have happened. Like, it happened for a reason, and, you know, I grew from it, I learned from it. Because in the past, especially when it comes to, like, lovers, I was always very impatient, and I would jump into something head first, not assessing the situation, if this person is even safe for me, if this person even cares about me, if this person will handle me with sensitivity. Because most of the time I would pick people who would not, who didn't give a fucking shit about me. Keep it real. Like, I would pick people who didn't give a fuck about me. Like, you know, I would dive headfirst into something and then just fall flat on my fucking face. And, you know, that taught me patience. That taught me, you know, that you can't rush things, stability. Even going back to platonic connections, you know, you can't rush stability. Like, that is built, that is something that is built between two people, or, however many people that are trying to build some type of stable foundation with each other. That takes consistency and time. And I mean, I'm glad these situations taught me to not, rush into things, because I like kind of taking things slow now. Like, I think mentally it's better for me if I take things slower. Try to do what I just did. That was a lot, but try to do what I just did and try to find something to be grateful about. Even when it comes to the things that have hurt you. Try to have compassion for the other person, or empathy. But if you can't bring yourself to have compassion or empathy for the person, I don't blame you, and I'm not judging you. And, forgiveness, it takes time. And so many people are so intent on rushing people to forgive. But it's like, have you even taken the accountability or owned up for this person to forgive you? Oh, because in reality, a lot of lessons that I've learned, and like I said, I still have a lot of hatred, anger, like deep rage for people that the enemy will always try to use against me. But I'm grateful that, you know I found the self-love within myself, um, to set boundaries, and take that time for my own well-being. Like, you know what I mean? I know, back then I would stay on the phone with someone for so long. Um, if it was someone I cared about, like, I would just be there for you however long you needed me to. But in reality, I can't do that all the time. Like, I have to choose myself in a way. Because that really just brings me back to, like, my purpose. A lot of these things, like, a lot of lessons I've learned have been more relational, but they also tie into, like, my purpose. Like, I had to learn boundaries, self-love, discipline when it comes to my purpose, which is healing and uplifting others, serving others. And having the discipline to stay focused and not allowing outside forces to deter me from my purpose, really. Um, because when it comes to my purpose, I'm going to be coming across people from all walks of life, and I'm open to that. And I think that when you're dealing with people from all walks of life, and just in general, because sometimes people can be energetically more demanding, um, and can really drain you if you don't have boundaries for yourself. And, you know, the self-love within you to say, hey, I've been tending to a lot of people around me lately. And that's good. You should be pouring love into people, and opening up your heart, which for so long I hadn't been doing that because of certain circumstances in my life that caused me to close up my heart and guard it and go into hermit mode for quite a long time. And, I'm grateful to have gone through that experience and learning how to set those boundaries, learning that I'm okay with being alone, because you have to be okay with being alone in this lifetime, in this life, really. And, when it comes to me meeting people from all walks of life, I need to be able to heal and serve and uplift myself as well. Like, I need time away from everyone and distractions and just relax. Or, on the contrary, my mind is always on and overactive, so I never really completely relax, but at least I'm just able to sit there and process a lot of things, um, just in silence. And release the things that have been ailing me for so long. I'm grateful to have that experience. So to recap, if you're able to find some type of way to be grateful for the circumstance, that'll always cancel out anything that the enemy is throwing your way. The enemy will play on those emotions. I was reading the Bible when I was writing out the idea for this video a couple weeks ago. And I was reading Hezekiah's poems of praise. And if you're not religious, you don't have to listen to this part. Or if you don't believe in God in any way. And basically, he got physically sick, physically ill. And instead of pointing the finger, questioning God, it seemed like he owned up. There was this understanding that whatever I'm going through, I'm being disciplined for some reason. And you don't get disciplined unless you do something that causes you to face the consequences of your own actions. And I really liked how he was acknowledging that. I found it very on theme for how I've been feeling. I've been feeling like something has been ailing me for so long. Mentally. For him it was physically, but for me it's been mentally, and I haven't always been in this mindset of I can find something to be grateful for when it comes to this. When it comes to the things in my life that have hurt me in so many ways. And, anyone who's watching this video, if you've endured trauma, that's not something that can ever be dismissed. And you're not to blame for your trauma. But anything you do in the present, that's what matters. So I really liked how he was, acknowledging I might have done something that leads to this consequence. And then when God healed him, he was praising God for it, but also praising God for disciplining him. Because he found something to praise God about, even in his moment of physical ailment. So with that being said, thank you for watching.